Hello and welcome into the Knicks-Verse. Today we have our very special guest, Quis of Sports Vibes TV. Very happy to have you here, Quis. Thank you for joining.
George, thank you for inviting me over. Looking forward to having this pregame discussion with you, and I'm also looking forward to your recap at the end of this potential W. 'Cause I think we're gonna get the win tonight, but we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yes, the W. The W. Well, it's looking like, according to the fan base, according
Mhm.
to Twitter, this is a must-win game, and we should not lose this game. How do you feel about that in general?
I won't say it's must win. We're still too early in the season to start talking about must win games, but I think it's an important game for us. Philly, they're a rival, and as we heard earlier, Embiid won't be available, and Tobias Harris will not be available. So you look at this next team, you expect us to have more talent out there on the court. You're looking at an undermanned Philadelphia 76ers team. So I think the Knicks should go out there and come home with a W.
Here, let's look at the injury report. So it looks like Nerlens and Mitch are game time decisions. That's what the latest tweet was. And look who's out from the Sixers.
Yeah,
Basically,
a laundry list.
they're four starters. No Danny Green, no Embiid, no Simmons, of course, and no Matisse Thybulle, and no Isaiah Joe. So what's interesting is if we don't have Mitch and Nerlens, so we're going to see a lot of Taj, a lot of Jericho Sims, and we're going to be facing Drummond.
Hmm.
Drummond's a big body. He has given us issues in the past, especially last season when he was with Cleveland. He actually did give us some problems. What are you expecting in terms of what matchup are you most intrigued about tonight?
I think you mentioned Drummond. That's an interesting one, but I'm concerned with Seth. We've allowed a few players to go and have career games against us, so we can't allow Seth to go out there and perform like Steph. Tommy Bear, he put up a quote saying that the Knicks were one of the worst team or the worst team defending the 3-point line for shots over 6 feet. And if you look at what Seth has been doing in those shot opportunities on 3-point shots from 4 to 5 feet with no guard, no defender within 4 feet. He's shooting 45%. And then if you look at shots over, I'm sorry, 4 to 6 feet is 45%. And if you look at shots 6 feet or over, he's shooting around 68. So he's going to be deadly if we allow him to get open and find his groove. We allowed Ricky Rubio to go crazy from the 3-point line. Imagine what Seth can do with the 3-point shooting that he's already showcased throughout his career.
Yeah, we've been leaving guys wide open way too much, especially on the 3-point line. We're not closing out strong enough. It's been a try. I think I found that tweet. Let me share it because it's an interesting one. In case you guys haven't seen it, here we go. All right. So is this the one you were talking about?
Yep, wide open 3-pointers.
Yeah. Through the first 10 games this season, Knicks have allowed 91 wide open 3-pointers. No New York defender within 6 feet of the shooter. That's the most wide open 3-points any team has allowed in the NBA this season. It's clearly something Thibs has to address and clean up. But it's also a strategy because we're going to look at this. And I just to be fair, I just showed this to Keith right before we came on. And it's really interesting because it really takes us into a different area of analytics here and game strategy. So here, this is from me, so I can call it, so I can reference it exactly. Who sent us this? This was tweeted out by Shot Quality. Shot Quality tweeted this out, and the Knicks dominated the quality of shots last night. That's the bizarro aspect of all this. So this is based upon the actual shots that were taken and the expected result based upon the history of those players. So, and the team itself. The Cleveland Cavaliers were expected to score 20 points less on 3-pointers last night, based on the quality of shots taken. The Knicks were expected to score 7 points more. So that is a 27-point swing right there alone. Cleveland were expected to score 6 less points on mid-range. Cleveland was expected to play 21% worse offensively. Rubio was expected to score 17 less points. The Knicks were expected to score 5 less points on finishes at the rim. So we actually played better at the rim than we normally do. The Knicks were expected to score 3 less points on free throws. So we delivered at the free throw line. We actually did have a nice free throw percentage. So if the game had gone according to history, based upon the players themselves, we would have won this game. So here's the thing about analytics, though. Sometimes people fight it a lot of times because they're like, wait a second, you got to watch what's happening in the game. What if somebody gets hot? You should make adjustments. That is true. That is true. But the thing is, when you are already kind of like geared up to play a certain style, it's hard to shift it, in the middle of the action. It's something you can definitely adjust later on in practice and devise a new game plan coming into a game. But once you're in it, it's really hard to switch it up. What do you feel about this this interesting stat line here, Quis?
I mean, it does say a lot, George, because Ricky Rubio isn't going to come into the Garden and perform that way most nights, if ever again. So, yes, it was an anomaly, but I think there are some things that the Knicks do have to work on. I think you would agree with that as well. And hopefully tonight we are able to make the proper adjustments, in a timely fashion. That way we don't have a game like the Orlando Magic where, I think the Knicks are going to be more talented out there on the court tonight. And, in that Orlando Magic loss, we allowed them to stay close for far too long, and they were able to pull it out in the end. So that's what I'm concerned about when you look at this Philadelphia 76ers team. Yes, they're going to be undermanned, but we've seen in tight games, the Knicks can tend to falter at times. So hopefully we can go out there and beat the 76ers like we did the Orlando Magic in our first matchup. Go out there, get a big lead, and not allow the 76ers to feel like they can run with us, even though they are shorthanded.
Yeah, that's for sure. And sometimes when teams are shorthanded, they fight even harder.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like
and Magic in that second game.
Exactly. And we're in their house this time too.
Mm-hmm.
One thing here, CL Kenrick put in the chat, Broadway Barrett was way off yesterday. And yes, that's another factor. I mean, he was averaging 26 points, I think 26 points a game for the past 4 games. He gave us 6. That's a minus 20. There's the game right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we can panic, but I think that would be way too premature. That's my feeling here. I think a lot of people want drastic rotation changes. They want that's mostly the biggest issue. And
that's the issue every year, though, when it comes to tips. We want drastic rotational changes.
Yeah. But we got to give him a little credit. Look who he played in the entire fourth quarter. I think he played 2 guys off the bench the entire fourth quarter. Quickly and Grimes. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Quinton.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Let's chat a little bit about him. What did you see from him? Let's start with the defensive part of it and how he fit into the scheme.
He brought a lot of energy. I think when he came in, you definitely saw that unit as a whole, their defensive intensity kind of, perked up a bit. And he fought over the screens a lot better than some of our guards did throughout the night. And even though there was one shot, Ricky Rubio, in which he traveled, he was able to get the shot off and knock it down. But you saw the fight, you saw the effort from Grimes to try to contest that shot and make it difficult. So that's what you want, from our team on the defensive end. We want them to compete. We want them to put in effort. They're not going to be 100% perfect. We understand that. But as long as you're giving 100% effort, we'll live with the results. Now, offensively, Grimes, he had one bad 3. We can probably chop it up to nerves potentially. But outside of that, he settled in. He had 2 nice 3-point looks. Even got a little chippy with the Cavs bench. Quick got a little chippy with the bench as well. So you like that kind of fight, that kind of spirit. That's what puts a smile on your face as a Knicks fan.
The bench was talking to him, especially while they were shooting on that side.
Well,
right
hey,
in his ear.
hey, we can't get bullied. We know this is our home court, so turn around and let them know we're not gonna let this stand. We're gonna put up a fight, and that's what I love. I like to see a team that can fight and grit out a win. That's what we were able to do last year when our defense was in tip point shape or tip top shape. This year it's going to be a little bit more difficult defensively, but as long as they're out there giving 100% effort, we're going to have to live with what we have on this roster until it's time to make a decision otherwise. But outside of that, I think Grimes is going to be a piece on this team that Tibbs needs to get involved more, especially in situations like we saw last night when you have a guard that's going out there and it seems like he's about to enter a zone. We got to try and try to stop them from getting that comfort level, getting that comfortable. We talked about it yesterday. We said somebody should have gave Rubio a little bit of an elbow, let him feel him.
Yeah, that's definitely something that's kind of gone from the game. I mean, if this were the '90s Knicks, after that third 3-pointer, Mace would have had Rubio flat on his back to make him think twice. Oh, you want to shoot that shot again? I mean, that's part of the game. It's always been part of it. When I've ever played, if I get hot, I know I'm going to end up with my ass on the floor at some point. It's just
as long as you're not trying to hurt anybody, it's just a tough, solid foul.
Exactly, clean.
Shoot your free throws and go about it the next play.
Exactly, but it helps put that little bit of slight doubt in someone's head, which not to that degree, but what I liked about what Grimes did is he picked up the offensive player, the ball handler early. I mean, the minute they crossed the half court line, he was on them, and he has such good size, and he's active. He really made it difficult. He really made it difficult for the offensive player, and immediately that started cascading throughout the whole team. And then IQ was doing similarly. Now, he doesn't have quite the size, the overall body mass that Grimes has, but he has the wingspan. He actually played some pretty decent defense last night as well, I thought.
Yeah, I was impressed by IQ. He had some moments. There was that clip that I sent you the other day where he kind of let Ricky Rubio go. He passed him on to Nerlens Noel when he probably should have stayed with him, stayed with the hot man instead of allowing him to get to the elbow uncontested. But outside of that, I think Quick is showing us a lot out there defensively. He hasn't been, he's had difficulty finding his shot. And I think the fact that he's still on the court is the fact that he's at least contributed and given us something defensively. Because if he wasn't, we already saw last season, Tibbs would have, put him on the bench and find another option. Maybe would have gone to Burks a little bit more. So Quick is definitely showing some promise defensively. He's not a top tier defender, but like I said, with the team, you want them to give effort. Quick has some tools that would allow him to be a pretty decent defender. So as long as he's putting in that effort and as long as he's, taking the right shots, he's going to miss here and there. You understand that. You hope he finds his shots. But as long as he's not doing foolish plays, he's not doing lackadaisical layups and things like that, I'm liking what I'm seeing in terms of what he's providing defensively. Offense, he still got to figure it out. But defense, I like what I'm seeing so far.
Yeah. Yeah, defensively, he was markedly better than last season. Defensively. Offensively, we finally got glimpses of the Quickly of last season. We got a little bit of that in that fourth quarter, and it helped. It sparked the offense for a little bit. We just weren't able to get over that hump, man.
Yeah. Sometimes you build too deep of a lead, and it's just you exert too much energy trying to get yourself back into the game. And then you look at that game and we were just pretty much trading buckets at a point. It's really hard to dent into a lead and try to pull ahead that way.
Yeah. JD, salute to the chat. Thank you guys for joining us. Really appreciate you guys coming in and sharing your thoughts. And we're going to get to some of these comments here. We're recapping we're recapping last night's game and we're previewing today's game because they're back to back. So they're coming upon us fast. Let's look at this to continue the recapping. Let's look at here we go. Here we go. So the Knicks, on average, we're averaging more points per game than the Sixers. We're averaging more rebounds, surprisingly. We're a little bit less on assists. They're ahead of us in steals. Blocks are about even. Turnovers are about even. Field goal percentage, they are shooting almost 50% from the field. We're at 45.5. 3-point field goal percentage, 36.9. They're at 39.4. And free throw percentage, they're beating us. So they're beating us in all the shooting stats, yet we are scoring more points, which tells me, which comes to my whole philosophy about these Knicks have to shoot 37 to 40 3-pointers per game. I think at least 40. So I haven't looked at it, but it looks like we're obviously putting more 3-point attempts up, which is why we are, at the end of the day, outscoring the Sixers. That's what that looks like to me. But this game is going to be weird because no Embiid, no Tobias, no Thibault. So their defense has taken a huge hit in terms of facing us. So we should be able to light it up tonight. Yep. It's right there. It's all there for us.
Yeah, it's going to be a weird game because, like you said, they're missing so many key pieces. It's like it's going to be one of those wild card games because how do they function offensively? Who are they going to play through? I would assume it would be, Seth at times, but to not have Harris, to not have Embiid, I don't know what their usage rate is, but I would assume those would probably be the two highest on the team. So to take those out, who on the 76ers is going to really, step up to do damage? And to me, that's Seth. I think you mentioned it earlier, Drummond. It's very important that the Knicks have our centers, at least one of them available. We can live without, maybe Mitch or Noel, but we can't. It's going to be hard for us to really be dominant in this game like I want us to be if we don't have at least one of them. So hopefully one of them will be able to be on the court. Have you seen anything else on Twitter that has given us any indication of whether they'll play or not?
Not lately. No. I mean, the last thing I heard was it was game time decision. So JD, drop something in the chat.
Speaking of that, I got Mitch starting on fantasy. I need him to play too.
Oh, yeah. Well, I actually I hope Mitch plays. I really do. I think, Mitch, I rewatched the third quarter, and he actually started off nicely, but he tired so fast. I really think that's really the whole issue with Mitch right now. It's just his endurance because he's not at game conditioning right now, NBA level game conditioning right now, and that's just going to come with time, and hopefully he puts in the work in the off days. Let's hope, because I miss that Mitch where like basically what Noel was doing last night, which was help guard double team out beyond the 3-point line, but still run back and then help disrupt Allen for a layup, and he actually missed it. So that kind of play that's been Mitch's forte his entire career since he got here. He's not able to do it this season yet.
We've seen it in spurts. I forgot if it was the first or I think it was the Celtics game where he was able to contest or put his hand up at the 3-point line and get back into the paint and either block. It was either Pritchard or Langford. I can't remember who it was. So we've seen it in spurts here or there, but we haven't seen it consistently. And it could be the conditioning, him trying to get back in game shape. Remember, he should still be somewhat rusty. He didn't play for 7 months. Yeah. So it's going to take him time to get into game shape. And also his physique has changed. He's added more muscle mass. You add more muscle, they require a lot more oxygen. So he's just going to have to get used or get more acclimated to his current size, his current body type. And I think once he's able to get into that point, then we'll be able to see him go out and be that dominant force. And he's going to have to, because if you look at some of the players that got paid that, in that same price range, you want to pay Mitch, they've been balling. Wendell Carter Jr. has been doing this thing for me in fantasy and also for the Magic. So he's going to have to, those are going to be his measuring sticks. So if he wants the 10, 12 mil that a Wendell Carter Jr. is getting, he's going to have to be that, he's going to have to put up not similar numbers, but be as impactful as we've seen the Magic put together some wins here and there throughout the season. One against us.
Quis, very important. You have to swap Mitch out of your fantasy team.
Too late. See, this is what I hate. Oh, money on the line. And it's crazy how Mitch, this kind of blows back in my face, seeing that I've been such a big Mitch supporter throughout my time
Yeah.
on YouTube. And it sucks though, because he's just coming back from injury and now he's missing the game already. So
What was
that
it, a
kind of
hip
sucks.
flexor? Is that what's bothering
Something
him?
of that nature, yeah.
You know, he had a battle against Embiid last time, and I don't think he's really looked quite the same since then. You know, I mean, that was a big battle he had,
Yeah,
which,
took a lot
you
out of
know,
him.
in general, he helped win.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he's tried to gut it through, but maybe back to backs. It's probably better in the long term to just sit him out. And now we have Nerlens in. So I'm okay with that. I mean, this is going to happen. That's why you have the depth that we have,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But Thibs should have checked with you.
Right? He should have let me know.
Fantasy.
Like, hey, sit Mitch. It's not looking good for tonight. It's not a go.
Yeah, man. All right. One thing I want to talk about here is this. Someone tweeted out here. I mean, I put it in the chat here. This is it. And the three of us talked about this last night. Well, Quis, JD, and I are on a thread together, and we constantly chop it up. And here's something and actually, Alan. What's funny is Quis and I were already talking about this, and then Alan Hahn posted an extra video. Where was that? Was that Instagram?
Facebook watch.
Oh, it was Facebook. Okay, so that's why I
probably
don't
his Facebook page.
Yeah, I'm off Facebook. Facebook's the devil.
I wasn't expecting that
one. But here's so okay, just give me a few minutes and I'm going to take you guys through why I think what the issues with the Knicks at the Garden are and the inverse, which is why opponents come in to the Garden and give it to us. So last season, okay, so last year at the beginning of the season, there was nobody in the Garden. That's it. It was empty. So, and of course, that allows teams to focus more. There's less distractions. And when you travel on the road, it's almost the same as if you're at home. I mean, of course, there's the actual traveling hassle, but in terms of the actual game time conditions, it's not that different when there's no one in the audience. And then when they started letting a few people in, I can't remember exactly how it transitioned, but by the time the playoffs hit in that first game at the Garden, and then the game that we won against the Hawks, it was so incredibly electrifying that, I mean, the entire NBA world noticed it. Even LeBron was tweeting out about it. They saw, God, man, that place is lit. That's where you want to play. And that's what's happening. So our team is already accustomed to that environment, but the opponent, they want to come in and they don't want to be shamed. They want to show off in front of the it's the greatest, it's the Mecca. They want to perform at their highest level possible. So they come in so amped up and ready. And the inverse is our players are kind of they're back home. There's a lot of issues to deal with, family and friends and whatever side business they have going and stuff. It does distract them to a certain degree. That's not an excuse. You should definitely own your home court. But when also we are now the hunted. Last season, we were the hunter. It's much easier to be the hunter. What does a hunter do? Just lays low in the weeds, studies their opponent. Then they pounce when they're ready. When you're the hunted, it's the reverse. You always got to be on alert. And sometimes when you lose your focus, your edge, you become vulnerable, and that's when you get attacked. That's the first part of that. The second part is, as we showed the other graph before about the expected points of last night's game, where the Knicks should have won that game based upon the actual shots that were taken. Players know that according to a Thibodeau scheme, they're going to be open beyond the three-point line if someone penetrates, because we help so much. We leave guys open. And as Tommy Beer tweeted out, we've allowed 91 wide open three-pointers, which is the most of any other team. So if you're a perimeter player and you're gonna come play the Knicks, hey, you know what? I'm gonna get ready because I'm gonna get my good looks. I'm gonna get open looks. So they're ready. And the minute they see that ball go through the hoop the first time, they start relaxing and they get into that rhythm. And that's why we start seeing guys have these career years, career quarters. Miles Turner. Who else had one? I mean, Rubio. Who else?
Grayson Allen.
Grayson Allen.
Mhm.
Grayson Allen. There was a fourth one.
Terrence Ross had a crazy fourth quarter.
Yeah,
Cole
but
Anthony had a crazy first quarter.
Cole Anthony. Yeah. That's what it is. They get them. So they're like, you know what? Tonight I get mine. And they come in ready for that. I wonder how much longer Thibs will stick with that strategy if we keep getting lit up by, we keep basically awarding opponents career quarters. What do you think about that, Quis?
Well, I'm in a pretty unique position because I was able to attend the Garden back when they were only allowing 2,000 fans last season, and then I was also lucky enough to be at the season opener, so I can kind of feel the different energy, the different vibe in the Garden between those two different settings. Last season, 2,000 fans was a decent showing because that's what they allowed, but the energy there compared to what we had on opening night is just completely in a different stratosphere. So I can see, some players, they kind of cower to that kind of pressure. But if you look at some players like a Ricky Rubio, who's battle tested, who's had wars with, both España, Spain, the national team, and with not Barcelona. I think he played with Barcelona starting before he came over. So he's had battles over there, and he is a veteran. So he probably is going to thrive in an environment like that. Same thing with a Jaylen Brown, a young player who's hungry, trying to, showcase that he is one of the elite stars in this league. He's going to thrive in that kind of environment. And you understand why players, turned it up to another level here in New York. It's the greatest city in the world, and Madison Square Garden is the greatest arena in the world. So they want to have that spotlight, and they want to perform their best, and they want to put on the best performance. And in previous years, it was something that was, I won't say easy, but we didn't put up as much opposition to those players having career games here. So a lot of players in this league are used to coming into the Garden and being able to show out. So now that things are a little bit more, normal, we have a new normal that's somewhat like what we had prior to the Rona. And you look at players like a Julius Randle, who seems like he's still trying to get comfortable in, the Garden when it's that raucous. You tend to see, players go off. I just hope we don't have a similar scenario tonight, because it is a setting. Well, no, we're not playing home tonight. We're playing in Philly, so we won't have that issue. But moving forward, it is something that could be a problem.
Yeah, that's why I expect that. I really do expect us to win tonight. Don't want to jinx it, but that's my expectation.
Knock on glass.
Yeah, knock on wood on this side, because of exactly those factors. I know it is the back end of a back-to-back, and we did have to travel to Philly, so there are those aspects.
I mean, it's a 2-hour trip to Philly. It's not that crazy.
Yeah. I mean, what did they take a bus there?
JJ Redick used to commute from Brooklyn to Philly.
Yeah. I've done that drive a few times. Yeah, it's not that far.
I've never gone as far as Philly. I've gone to other places in PA, but not Philly.
Yeah, it's a pretty close. It's not that far a drive, but yeah, I expect their focus to just be at a super high level, especially because I think they were embarrassed last night, especially if you heard the post game interviews. Julius, he was very contrite. He took responsibility. I really hope he had time to watch the film, because I watched it, and he, I think he's definitely he let us down defensively many times. He whenever someone penetrated the paint, he went to go help, but that left guys wide open behind the arc. And meanwhile, we have Nerlens or a Mitch there. to cover for us. We don't need Julius to be doing that as well. It leaves us too vulnerable on the perimeter. And we don't have, in our perimeter guards right now, Rose and Fournier, and they're not the kind that shift over quick enough to be able to really disrupt the 3-pointer from taking a nice clean look. We're just not structured that way. So we need to stick with our guy more. Less help defense, less switching. That's one thing that I feel like we should start moving away from, at least until the new guys get accustomed to the defensive scheme.
Well, I don't think we're really trying to switch on purpose. At times, you see it's the guard just getting caught up in the pick and roll, and then that leaves our big in no man land, and that happened time and time again against the Cavs. You would see either Nerlens Noel or Mitch have to step up to try to stop penetration, and they weren't in the best position to cover either Mobley or Jared Allen. And even if the guard or whoever was penetrating did put a shot up, you would have an easy offensive rebound for Mobley, for Allen, for them to put it back up. So it's a double-edged sword. Yes, you don't want them, switching everything. That's not necessarily how we're built. But also, we need better individual defense, so we're not put in those situations where we're forced to switch.
Yeah. And that comes from the perimeter defense.
Mm-hmm.
We're basically, we're just kind of like concierge. Come on, go right in. Go right into the lane.
As Clyde says, matador defense.
Yeah, matador defense. I mean, I saw one play where Burks I don't even know what he was doing. He just got totally beat. I think it was Garland.
Oh, for the three?
No, Garland penetrated the paint, just got right around him, and I think he did a little pass to, it was either Mobley or Allen. Oh no, it was Rose. Little bounce pass right to the Mobley, and Mobley just took it in for I think it was a dunk. Oof.
Yeah, Garland had Burks on skids before he knocked down a beautiful deep three.
Yeah.
So we got to work on it, but I got faith in this team. I got faith in Tibbs that we'll get it together. I think the way the cookie crumbles, the fact that Embiid and Harris are out, along with, I think what Danny Green they said was out as well, Thibault, quite a few players. So I think this bodes well for the Knicks. It's one of those
even left?
Get right games. Yeah,
who's even left on this team?
JD tweeted something about Forkmas.
Forkmas, get ready for your career quarter.
Yeah, so it bodes well for the Knicks. We just have to show up. We have to show up and put in the work. And I think we can outwork them. And I think we have more talent than them with what they have available at their disposal tonight. Yeah.
Let's talk about Kemba a little bit. Talk about Mr. Walker.
Yeah, he's back. I'm back, baby.
He's back, which is great because there's always the fear that when someone like Kemba or Rose have to miss a game, you worry that, oh no, could this snowball?
Stack. Yeah. You want them to stack. Same thing with Mitch. That's why I'm worried about him missing the game. You never know.
Yeah. So Kemba, let me see. I got some stats here for Kemba. So Kemba has averaged in his career in 34 games against the Sixers, he's averaged 21.3 points per game, 5.4 assists, and 4.1 rebounds. That's why I love how much that Kemba's a really good rebounder for a point guard. This season, he actually had, I think it was his best all-around game, was against the Sixers this year. He had 19 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. He shot 5 of 11 from behind the arc, 7 of 15 overall. Now, when you go back to last season when he was with Boston against the Sixers, the Celtics lost all 3 games against the Sixers. But Kemba played all 3 games. Because remember, he missed a lot of games last season. Mm-hmm. He scored 19 twice. And the last game, he scored 14 points. He hit 2 of 5 3-pointers. So he can, I mean, he's going to give us some points. He obviously can score off of that Sixers defense, and he'll probably have Maxey guarding him today. So what do you expect?
So you think they'll put Seth on
Fournier?
RJ?
I think Seth will be on Fournier.
Who's going to guard RJ?
RJ.
I thought they might have Seth on Kemba and then try to put Maxey on RJ, see if he can do something with him.
Maybe. I
We'll
thought.
see.
Well, then who would guard Fournier?
Who's gonna be the three with with the with the way they're dropping like flies over there? Because it's usually Danny Green, Harris in that starting lineup, and you would expect Harris to guard RJ.
Yeah, let me look see who is going to start for the Sixers. Have they posted that yet? The game starts soon. Yeah.
That's the thing. You would hope they would release that information a lot sooner.
Yeah.
They really, when they say game time decision, they really mean game time decision. They're not lying there.
They really do. Let's see, pull this up here. Hey, shout out to the chat. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Salute to the chat. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Subscribe to my guy Into the Knicks-Verse, George.
Salute. We got is Foxy out there?
Oh,
I thought I saw his name. I thought I saw his name, but just looking at it quick. Oh, maybe it's JD's guy who's gonna light us up.
Forkmonth?
Yeah, Corkmonth.
I put the first name with the last name.
Yeah,
I'll figure it out.
I'll tell you, someone that I'm a little concerned about tonight is George Niang. He's been playing well, and his style of play is could give us some problems. He can give us some problems. So? Yeah, I think he's someone that I'm a little concerned about. But what about Shake Milton?
Milton?
Yeah, wonder if he'll get the start.
Honestly, I'm not too concerned with the Philadelphia 76ers. I don't think this game is about the Philadelphia 76ers. I think this game is about what we're able to do, how we impose our will. They're shorthanded. We can't allow some of their key players to go off. And I think some of the players like a Shake Milton, I don't think if we do what we have to do, I don't think they'll impact the game in any meaningful way. As long as we, try to do better out there on the perimeter and we knock down our shots. We haven't knocked down our shots the last 2 games. I think if those shots are falling, it's a completely different story. And I still think with the offensive firepower we have, the return of Kemba, who's going to be able to knock down the 3, they're not too concerned about him getting into the rim and penetrating. So it should help with the floor spacing. I think he's more dangerous as a 3-point shooter. So you'll see his defender hug him a lot more. And I think that'll open things up and allow this offense to get back into a rhythm. Julius Randle, just make sure you don't get ISO crazy. Continue to trust the flow of the offense. Move the rock. Evan Fournier, he's been doing some good things when he's able to put the ball on the floor and get into the paint. He had some gimmies in the paint that he missed, yesterday. That probably factors into some of the shots that we should have made. But other than that, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree with you. This game is really about the Knicks and what team shows up.
Exactly. Who are we going to be out there on the court?
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, that's kind of been the story of the whole season. Which team, what happens? What happens on our end is really what matters. Like, I don't feel like we've been beaten by another team that was just so far superior yet. I feel it's a lot of what we didn't do or what we did incorrectly that resulted. I mean, yes, of course, the defense can definitely steer you in a certain direction, but we have the talent to adjust to that. We should, at least. Let's put it that way. Alan Pena tweeted out. He said, "Shake, Maxey, Curry, all capable of scoring 20."
Especially on our defense. Look at the players that were able to have high scoring outputs. You got Grayson Allen. Those 3 are probably more explosive scorers than Grayson. So if he's able to go off, they too have the capability of going off. I just think the Knicks, we just got to do better, work harder out there on defense. A lot of it, I think, so far has been effort. So if we see the guys up our defensive intensity, we've seen it throughout the game. We just got a piece of full 48 minutes. And I think if we do that tonight, the Philadelphia 76ers just aren't going to have the firepower to really run with us, especially because if you're going to look at me and say the Philadelphia 76ers have the firepower to run with us without Embiid, without Tobias Harris, without Danny Green, without the majority of their starting lineup, then we are in trouble, people. But I don't think that's the case. I think if we do lose this game, it's going to be more so what the Knicks didn't do right, as opposed to the Philadelphia 76ers going there and beating the brakes off us. This team is more talented than a depleted 76ers team. And I think this is a great, this is a get-right game where we have an undermanned team, and we should be able to get to our spots on the court and be able to, knock down some shots. I want to see the three ball start falling again. We've been doing okay getting into the paint and finishing. I want to see us now get back to knocking down the three and getting that 3-point shooting percentage back up there.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Here, we got our starting lineups.
Oh, so Green is playing. All right.
Yeah. So it's Danny Green, Korkmaz, Drummond, Seth Curry, and Therese Maxey. And our starting lineup is RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Nerlens Noel, Evan Fournier, Kemba Walker. Yeah, we should definitely win this game. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I want to be doing the post game all happy and just going nuts.
Yeah, right. It's tough to sit here and vent, man. You don't want to vent and talk about what this team isn't doing right. You'd rather celebrate and kind of give the guys the accolades they deserve if they're going out there and performing well. That's what I prefer to do, as opposed to coming on here and saying, hey, this is what you didn't do right. Who wants to hear that, for 30 minutes? I prefer, point out what these guys are doing well, and then towards the end say these are a few areas of improvement.
Absolutely. Is there anyone you want to shout out in the chat, Quis?
I see my guy Anudi25 is in the chat. Adam Gatson, salute to you guys. Still Dre, Geraldine MacGyver. If I'm not mistaken, Foxy mentioned that Geraldine's birthday was recent. So if that's true, Geraldine, happy belated. Shout outs to you. King Bibby's also in there. Hey, Fritz. Salute to Fritz.
Salute Fritz. And Palace Shenanigans. Salute. Sunny Stocks. Is that how you say it? Stocks? Yeah, I think it would be Stocks. I'm trying to find the overall, because the most important stat, according to our fearless leader,
who Tibbs?
Mr. Tibbs. They call him Mr.
They call
Tibbs.
me. I was just about to go there. I think I saw that video in high school.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to last season get a friend of mine to sing a song. We're going to do the cover of To Sir with Love, but it was to be To Thibs with Love. I had this whole thing set up. Yeah. But then
the music video.
Yeah. But then we lost the Hawks game.
Yeah. Everything went down the drain at that point.
Yeah, it went down the drain. So here we go. So, all right, let me get this up because this is going to be interesting for us to look at this little stat here.
Geraldine did confirm her birthday was 10/31. So happy belated.
Happy Halloween
birthday. Let's hope the Knicks can get you a win.
Yeah. All right, I don't know if you guys can see this here, but the Knicks opponent field goal percentage is 52.0, 17th place. So that can't be making Thibs happy. That's now our team defense, our team field goal percentage is 1.4% higher at 53.4%. But this is pretty low. This has to be, we have to keep players, teams below the 50% mark in terms of effective field goal percentage. So we are actually dropping the ball defensively. Maybe 3 games ago we weren't. I hadn't checked that stat 3 games ago. That might have been a different story, because there was a post game where Thibs came out and said the most important stat for me is the defensive field goal percentage. Doesn't matter how many shots they're taking or where they're taking them. It's just whether they're making them. So that's an example right there. We are in the bottom. Well, I guess we're in the bottom half of the league. So that has to improve. That's the
that
clear indicator.
That confirms the eye test.
Yeah, that confirms the eye test. Because sometimes it does. Sometimes, right? We've had this before where like we think something and then we go and look at the stats. We're like, wait a second. No, we're really not that bad with that.
That was me watching RJ when he went 3 for 13. I looked at the stat sheet. I was like, wow, he missed 10 buckets. What's going on here? I was too concerned about Ricky Rubio going crazy.
Yeah. I'm expecting a nice bounce back game for Mr. Barrett.
Yeah, let's see if we can't restart that 20-point per game streak.
Yeah, let's get to that. Let's get back to that. All right, well, we should let's start wrapping it up. Let's start wrapping this up. Is there anybody? Let's go get that dub. King Ribby. Yes, let's do it. Let's see. Still Knicks fans. Shout out to you, brother.
Salute to still Knicks fans.
Yeah. Who else? I'm looking at Adam Gatson. Salute to you. Salute to everybody. Be civilized. Alpania. Still DRE. Dre. Terrell Glover. Let's see. Who else have I missed? Fritz. Tucker. All right. This was kind of a last minute pregame we threw together. Roberto Mendez. Salute to you, brother. Okay. Let's all right. Well, I'm expecting to be on later tonight. Not live. I'm going to do a recorded post game celebrating the victory and us going to become 7-4, hopefully, after tonight.
Yeah, hopefully. Fingers crossed. I got faith in them. Let's hope they don't let us down.
Me too. Like, for a while there when I was doing my recaps and everything, even though we were like 5-1 and then, we were doing well. I kept saying, we haven't even played that well yet. And now we see the dark side of that. We dropped a couple games. We've lost 3 out of the last 4. And it's partially because of that. When you go cold, it's hard to cover up the mistakes you're making on the defensive end. So hopefully we'll have a consistent effort on both ends of the court tonight and really establish that identity that will carry us forward into the rest of this month. Because this month it's not going to be an easy month.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
tougher from here.
Yeah. And when I did the predictions video, I did predict a 2-3 start to November. I had different games. I had us winning the Toronto game and then losing the Milwaukee game and vice. But I did have us drop in the Pacers game and the Milwaukee game. So we did it the other way around. We won the Milwaukee game. But I definitely had us winning the Cavs game, even though I didn't think it was going to be easy because that Cavs team, it's young, it's well coached, they're well prepared, they have great length, and they took it to us last night. But we're going to take it to the Sixers tonight in Philadelphia.
Yep, as we should.
All right. Well, thanks so much, guys, for joining us. And, follow Quis if you're not following him. Subscribe to this channel. If you're not subscribed yet, please do so and hit the thumbs ups. I haven't even asked for any of that yet. We just jumped right into it. We didn't take care of any of the channel business.
Yeah, that's usually the theme of when I go live. You just have fun and flow with it.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, thanks so much, guys. Peace out.